All right, so for the worm, I have all my stuff here. Before you start, you might want to have a pair of take your Leatherman and pinch the hook down. Then you don't have to worry about pinching it down later. I already have all my hooks pre-pinched anyway, so I'll just go ahead and start. So the first thing you need is a lighter, because you need to burn the end of the chenille. So I usually cut just the length of this cardboard where that curve is right there. That tends to be about the right length. You'll have to do some trimming, but not much. So it works out pretty good if you just cut right where that curve is. And then take your lighter and just kind of burn the end. So that'll help you slide it onto the bead. You want to slide it onto the bead next. If it'll fit, there we go. And then you want to slide the bead. Well, I guess it doesn't matter too much at this point, but you'll want however long you want the front, because that part's already burnt. So get the front to however long you want it. Pull mine out just a little bit farther. You can always trim it and redo the burn part there. All right, so then we need to secure it with the thread, which you'll want to kind of do like a loose wrap, because it slides around a lot, and then kind of get tighter. Slide that back up. Because this part can be finicky, very finicky. And then you might need to just do a bunch of tight wraps, hold it in there, and then kind of loosely go around the whole body to try and get that to stay without going down there. Oops, and then don't forget to trim that. Okay. Run it down the body, and then run it back up, and try and take down that chenille as you go back up the body with some tighter wraps. Which isn't a huge deal because you're going to be going back down the body again anyway. Once you get back up to the top of the bead, we have to cut in some wire first. And you just slide it under the bead, if you can, right on top. Get that tied in. And then just kind of lay it along the top of the hook. And then we have to do our pearl tinsel. This one's pretty thin. I would suggest getting the large. This is the medium, or the 20 millimeter. And I think it's too small. It kind of makes wrapping a pain because you have to do a lot of really tight, close wraps. But just cut some of that out. And tie that in. Stuff's such a pain because it's so small. I wish I had the bigger tinsel. Get that wrapped in. And then you just wrap it down the body. And then wrap back up the body. I probably could have done a better job of making that. It's not, it's pretty uniform. Then we want to wrap the tinsel around. I'm maybe wondering if I didn't cut it long enough, but I think it'll work. It just might be a pain at the end. So wrap the whole body with tinsel, and this is where having the wider, bigger tinsel would make this so much easier because you don't have to do as many wraps. Yep. Yeah, and see, I should have cut longer tinsel. I knew this would kind of be a pain. Anyway, you'll wrap this, then you'll wrap the wire next the opposite direction. Just kind of helps hold that in place better, especially if you're not using any UV resin to hold that wire in place. Of course, I tied these for a long time without any UV, so. Oh, man. What a pain in the butt. Make sure you give yourself enough tinsel to work with. Anyway, then you can tie that in. A few wraps, trim it. And tie that tag end down if you have a little bit there. And then wrap the opposite direction with the wire, leaving a little gap so it kind of looks like ribbing of the worm, the, you know, like the sections that they have, segments. And again, I didn't give myself very much wire to work with either. You can tie that in. And then you can just kind of twist this and eventually it'll just break off. Give some wraps and whip finish. I always double whip finish, but you could single whip finish if you're putting like head cement on or something. And that's it. And then you just got to trim and burn. The other end, but you can see it ends up being pretty uniform there. I might just leave it. Just burn that end and you're all done. Unless you want, of course, put some UV resin on it, but I didn't want to make this video any longer. So that is the worm.